Hello everyone, I'm Wendell Jones and welcome to this edition of the program, Jones and Company. On this program, we examine national issues, and on our program today we are going to be talking about education, and we're going to talk about food, surprisingly, as it relates to education in our country. And our guest on the program today is Dr. Karen Sincere, who is the coordinator of regional and international studies for the Ministry of Education. And that is a wonderful guest to have today. Welcome to the program.
Welcome. Thank you very much.
Godfrey Ines, nice to have you here today.
I want our viewers to know that you were closely connected to the Food and Agriculture Organization, FAO.
Yeah.
And you participated in this FAO program.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you know, I'm so delighted to meet you because you just told me that your mother was one of my primary school teachers, and so I see why you are in education as well. She was a wonderful lady,
Yes.
Mrs. Dean.
Yeah, Barbara Dean.
Barbara
Yes.
Dean,
Mm-hmm.
very nice. Tell us how you got involved in education.
Well, if my mother was here, she would tell you that from I was a toddler, I was teaching. I lined up all the chairs and plants and whatever was in the house, and I taught them. And I got this actually from her, because when I was a little toddler, at times she would take me to school with her, and of course I was in preschool also, so I just felt that I was one of those who was born a teacher.
Okay.
And so I started from that. But then as I grew older, the need for imparting to young people all what I call the tenets of national development, the need for a very strong foundation premised on education, the need to understand and inculcate in them their role as nation builders, and the need not only to embrace what this country has to offer, but to aim for the global arena. But first, let's be embedded in what education is here in this Bahama land, and how can we then use education for liberation and for further exploration and discovery.
That's interesting, how we can use education for liberation.
Mm-hmm.
And you are the coordinator of regional and international
projects.
I said studies, so okay. And so your project now, your main project now is what?
Well, just actually ending in the project management role of the Inspire project actually is ending, actually ended last week. It's the investing in students and programs for the innovative reform of education. Was a huge multi-million-dollar project, the acronym of which is INSPIRE, that was a loan agreement with the IDB, Inter-American Development Bank, and the government of the Bahamas. And much money has been invested, and this project actually dealt with targeted innovations and interventions from kindergarten right up to BTVI. So the whole restructuring of the Bahamas Technical and Vocational Institute was as a result of the INSPIRE project, and many other levels in between, with legislation for preschools and inclusive education and everything else.
Okay.
But with reference to your work in food, which is an FAO initiative, how is that impacting the educational system?
Well, I probably should start from the beginning of, I served for the consultant, the curriculum consultant precisely for the Food and Agricultural Organization, FAO, from 2008 to 2010 for a 3-year period. And as a result of that project, which was a grant funded project that education was the recipient of, we developed some teachers' resources, some students' resources, some of which I have here. But in the words of one of the students, if I could just read, this is one of the resources that was actually developed as a result of it, garden-based learning lessons. And we tried to capture in these publications actually the actual words of teachers and students that have benefited. So for example, this teacher said, the students have become very enthused about growing vegetables and being able to consume what they have grown. And another quote here is, students have become nutrition promoters. So what, after the students actually, this is a picture of Columbus Primary School, students here actually in their seedling stage, actually planting seeds. And after the students got so involved in the project, they actually became nutrition promoters. I can tell you that Columbus Primary took it up a notch into the community and went around into the community and the surrounding areas with baskets of the produce to mostly the elderly persons and promoting nutrition. As a result of this project, there were 3 islands that were involved and 3 schools on each island, the Grand Bahama, Andros, and New Providence for this project. But this is, in students' comments, this young man, at the time, this was 2010, was a grade 6 student, Nathaniel Barr, at Red Bays Primary School, of course, located in North Andros. And he said, I am delighted to be given this opportunity to give reflections about our school vegetable garden. And he went on to say, I can recall the first time I was asked to help in the garden by my teacher. I was angry. I thought farming was dirty, hard work where no learning took place. Today, I stand here with a different view. Working in the garden has taught me many skills, how to prepare land for farming, measuring the distance between rows, so the whole integration with math. And he went on to talk about how they produced bell peppers, onions, broccoli, many other different crops. And we even made a tasty vegetable and fruit drink. And he goes on and on about the benefits that he as a student had with this program in his schools, in the school, and how it actually spilled over in other schools. These resources are actually giving focus to grade 4 and 5 because initially we wanted to keep the sample of students and teachers manageable because we're dealing with 3 different islands, 9 different schools. But as soon as this program hit the schools, it was a whole school adoption from kindergarten right through grade 6. So much has been accomplished, and the way that, and another student whose comments is actually referenced in here, spoke about how her family was having some hard times, and after this program, and she realized how easy it was to grow the crops, they started this garden. And so this particular program, the spillover effect has been the planting of many backyard gardens that are still sustained to this day.
When I spoke to you and you told me about this program, I called Mr. Jones and I told him that we needed to have you on the program. And one of the reasons is I'm the Bahamas ambassador to FAO. Many people ask, what does FAO do? They cannot feel FAO, right? But this program, you have addressed the fundamental issues facing the world, food and nutrition.
Yes.
And out of this program, you have achieved the objective of what FAO was trying to do.
Right.
The adoption of food production habits, the adoption of improved nutritional habits.
Yes.
And you achieved that. The only problem with this, Dr. Sincere, an international agency had to come in and initiate it. Where is the sustainability?
Okay. Well, I would address that. But before I address the sustainability, let me say that this project was worked in conjunction with the Department of Health and through...
Because they deal with nutrition.
Yes.
And you deal with education.
The nutritionist.
And agriculture should
Yeah.
have been involved in terms of the backyard.
Yes,
It's
agriculture.
It's a tripartite thing.
Right.
But the thing is, it was a pilot project, where is the sustainability? Obviously, it was a success.
It was a success. Well, and working with Carmelta Barnes with the Ministry of Health, and also talking about sustainability with Hamlin Newbold, who is the agricultural officer for Ministry of Education. He's actually the assistant director for science and technology. And under Mr. Newbold's purview is actually the whole agricultural program for the Ministry of Education, Science and Technology. And there's a very structured and methodical curriculum that is rolled out that centers around crop production, animal husbandry, also landscaping and horticulture, ornamental horticulture is a part of that. So the Great North Andros High School, which everybody really know about, with Mr. Perdue, is actually part of this program.
And one in Central Andros too.
Yeah, and one in Central Andros, but in just about every public senior high school and some of the junior high schools is this agricultural program. So it's in that. And the sustainability, well, unfortunately for us, and this is something that needs to be addressed, whenever funds fizz out for a special project like this, so the
project ends.
Sustainability. But in this case, the schools that have been involved, this became so embedded in the whole operation of the schools, and as we said, we were promoting nutritional literacy, that they have sustained and continue to go. Now, from the education point of view, Mr. Newbold, along with his assistant, Patrice Green, actually continue to work with the schools, and we also have a science officer, Barbara Dossett, that deals with primary science, that works along with the schools and continues to give whatever support with the gardens, and these activities are now continuing through the science club. Now, it hasn't, as Mr. Enis has noted, expanded to other schools for that same reason of sustainability. So to bridge that gap, we are looking now.
We'll get yourself in trouble.
Sustainability in this case means having sufficient money to continue.
Expand it at least to other schools, but it's sustained in the schools that participated.
Why is money important here?
Well, you need supplies, and although Ministry of Education does have a line item for agricultural science, but it's very small comparatively, relatively to the number of schools that it has to support. So, you know, even though education has the lion's share of the budget, we know it over and over again, it still isn't sufficient to fund all the needs of schools. So we look at creative ways to
So is there a national commitment to what you are about?
Well, it is a national commitment because in the
It's a national commitment, and you have the vast majority of schools not participating?
Well, it's a national commitment because in the Charter for Governance, it's embedded in there as a national commitment, because this particular project is one of those that sets the foundation for food security.
Yeah, but that's what they say. You see, paper stand still and let you write anything on it. All right, the paper was right there, and they write that on that. But in terms of putting resources into it and getting all of the schools interested, do you see the national commitment? Do you see, for instance, in the current budget, funds provided for the expansion of this program?
Well, it doesn't spell out this program individually, but it does spell out education programs in the curriculum area, and as part of that, the agricultural program is part of that. So with the Ministry of Education, the emphasis being put in agriculture is still that same emphasis, and this is what is actually working the support in all the schools.
Yeah, but the point I wish to make in conjunction with Mr. Jones, that is the problem. The problem is this is seen as an education program, a Ministry of Education program, which it is not. It is not an education. Education, the Ministry of Education is one of the vehicles. The Ministry of Health, because you're dealing with nutrition, right? The Ministry of Agriculture, because you're dealing with production, all right? Those three entities should have come together and come up with the kind of money needed to sustain the program. The program, the planners, the policymakers are not being innovative. This is not a Ministry of Education program.
But
the
Ministry of Education is only a vehicle for getting at the students.
Well, I agree with that statement, but I can't say it's not a Ministry of Education program,
no.
because it was actually done in conjunction with Ministry of Health.
It is a national program.
Department of Agriculture.
It is a national program, right, with the Ministry of Education as a conduit. That's all it is, a conduit.
But you're the coordinator for regional and international projects of the Ministry of Education.
Yes.
This is considered an international project?
Yes, this is.
Yes,
No. It is.
Is this considered?
Yes, this is an international. It's an international agency.
Right. And so, when you were given your marching orders, so to speak, were you supposed to liaise with Ministry of Agriculture in this particular project?
Yes.
Are there Ministry of Agriculture officials involved in this project?
Yes, they were. They were.
And Ministry of Health officials?
And Ministry of Health, yes. So it's a combined project with these. It's a tripart project with these three agencies. And so technical assistance was actually gotten from all of. We sat together around the table and discussed.
But the funding comes from where?
Well, the funding came initially from FAO as a grant.
Okay.
And after the grant has been depleted for the outcomes that the project was designed for, because the whole timeline of the project with the professional development that was done with all the islands and all of that, and the production of these resources, and then the sustainability of it is then absorbed by the Ministry of Education, but still there is some relationship with the Ministry of Health, more specifically the nutritional department through Carmelta Barnes and her team, and with the Department of Agriculture.
So that grant went toward what?
Okay, the grant went towards, we did a lot of professional development with teachers. We did a lot of, we supported a lot of technical assistance in setting up gardens in the schools and purchasing resources for those gardens, keeping them sustainable in conjunction and to complement what the Ministry of Education was doing. So during the tenure of the grant, since Ministry of Education's funding was doing a lot with actually supporting the gardens to the agricultural program, so we put a lot of priority then on the professional development of teachers, of holding meetings on the different islands with parents to discuss nutritional aspects of why is it important, why is food security so important, why is there a need for them to be proactive in food production, why is it to look carefully at what they're giving their children to eat,
Okay.
and like that.
Okay. I have to take a break here. Godfrey has a question for you, but we have to take a break. This is Jones and Company, and it's interesting. It's going to get better. We take this program with this break on the program, and we'll come right back.